How to close 2 times more clients on your free consultations without being an expert salesperson. My name is William Hamilton. I'm the co-founder of SmartPath.co, and I'll be taking us through this training today. So, who hasn't had a conversation like this before in their practice? You're meeting with a potential new client, and at some point during the conversation, the client asks the big question, right? Okay, how much is all of this going to cost? And then you, as a tax professional, you have to tell them, obviously, well, it depends. And then they say, inevitably, well, can't you just give me a quote now? Because that's what they want. And then you have to figure out a way to tactfully say, well, no, I can't do that. That's not really how this works. Well, depending upon how this conversation is handled and depending upon the type of education the client has had during your entire free consultative process, this may be an awkward situation and it may not lead to the best result because the client's not getting what they want and you're not necessarily giving what you want. And so today's conversation and training is really going to be perfect for you if sometimes you struggle booking clients. Maybe you're really good at getting referrals, but getting that referral to the point of actually becoming a paid client might be a struggle for you sometimes. Or maybe you really don't want to come off as a sleazy salesperson when you're starting new relationships with clients. Philosophically, we believe that tax and accounting professionals should never be in a position to have to hard sell their services. It's really just your job to educate your clients and then allow them to choose an engagement level that works for them. And we're going to talk about that in detail today. Or maybe sometimes your free consultations just end empty-handed. You had a great conversation with someone and you thought you both liked each other, but then nothing ever transpires and engagement never comes from it. Or you don't have a repeatable scientific process for booking new clients. And we all know that revenue is the lifeblood of any business. And so that's just the same for a tax and accounting practice. And if we don't have a repeatable scientific process for booking new clients, then we're not going to be able to guarantee to generate the revenue that we want to reach our goals. And so the big takeaway from that I really wanted to share with everybody this morning is that you're not alone. 83% of small firm owners list their new client meetings as a significant stress point in their practice. The average conversion rate from a consultation to realized revenue in small firms is less than 30%. And 7 out of 10 small firm owners do not have a documented, cohesive process for client discovery, client proposals, and then onboarding people. And the average time from client meeting to realized revenue is over 21 days. So we're looking at an average time of 3 weeks from when you have that free meeting and you give away all this free time and value and then not seeing any revenue from it for almost 3 weeks. And so the good news is there's a much better way to do this. This is Michael McGovern. He's an EA in Garnerville, New York. He's a SmartPath member. And Michael was able to go from generating about 2 clients to every 10 meetings. So his close rate was about 20%. To now they're steadily signing up 4 to 5 clients per month on increased retainers. Michael's individual packages start at $149 a month. So his average individual client value is about $1,788. And then his business packages start at $249 a month. So his average business client value is about almost $3,000. So there's a way to do this to create repeatable results. Firms all across the country are already doing it. And so really the only way for you to book clients systematically is by understanding their deeper needs and then positioning your proposal correctly. And the only way to do that is through a solid discovery meeting process, having a recipe for exactly how to do it. And so we want you to walk away from the session this morning with a very clear discovery process that you can implement in your firm step by step. And really quick, if we haven't met before, my name is William Hamilton. I'm the co-founder of SmartPath.co. We help small firms increase their monthly cash flow in as little as an hour per week without alienating any existing clients. And we give firms access to training and tools and templates to make it all work. And our website is smartpath.co, www.smartpath.co. And we learned how to do this because we've spent the last 12 years gathering data from over 1,000 firms, helping them implement profitable pricing. And we get it. We know how frustrating it is to want to help your clients. I've been in this industry for almost 15 years. My co-founder has been in this industry for almost 40 years. So we know what it means to want to help someone, but to not know how to get paid for that help or where to start. And we've seen what works and what doesn't. We're partners with the NETP. I'm a speaker for the AICPA and CPA Academy. We've had articles published in the NSA Tax Pro Journal, and so we know it works, we know it doesn't, and today we're just going to share you all the stuff that works. And so what I want to start with is diving into some of the pitfalls. So if we can clearly understand some of the things to avoid when we're trying to create a discovery process that's going to lead to more engagements, that's also going to help us see potentially what to do. So let's talk for a minute about the old way, or the way that firms do it before they have a discovery process. Usually the free consultation meeting will start out with the firm owner giving the floor to the client. So, hey, potential client, tell me about your business. And what happens at this first step of the meeting is the client's going to begin talking about something, but you don't really know if they're going to give you the data that you need to show them how you can help and how you can be valuable. Then, after the client talks for a little bit, then the firm starts to share their story. So here's our credentials, here's how long we've been in business. Here's the thing that we focus on, customer service or compliance or whatever it may be. And so we start talking about ourselves. Then at some point we have to say, okay, here's basically what we offer. We do tax, we do accounting, we do payroll, we do compliance, we do audit, whatever those services may be. And then somehow in that conversation soup, you have to figure out how to bring up, okay, well, do you want to move forward? And here's the outcome that happens when we don't have a discovery process and we just do what naturally happens without really thinking about it. Number one, you never define what the client specifically wants in exchange for their money. And that sounds so simple, but that's such a key point. If that step is skipped, if we don't define what the client specifically wants in exchange for their money, then there's no way to tie your offer, what you're going to offer them, to the specific needs and desires of the client. And so we quote a vague price range that doesn't directly tie to something the client is motivated to pay for. And when that happens, when we're not creating a very clear bridge between our price and what the client is motivated to pay for, what results they want, clients just don't get it. They can't understand how the value that you're offering relates to the specific results that are important to them. And so what happens is the client allows you to send them a proposal, right? It's no sweat off them for you to do the work to send a proposal. And this is either a custom job or sometimes it's a standardized offer, but it can still take a lot of time for you to create. And in the proposal, because we haven't defined the results that are most important to the client, we feature basic tax and accounting and commodity compliance services that the clients really don't care about. We care about taxes and accounting, obviously, because we're in the industry. This is your profession. This is what you do. Clients don't care about taxes and accounting. They do it because they have to do it. What do they care about? They care about running a better business and making more profit. They care about being able to have more time to take vacations with their family. They care about being able to retire one day and building a legacy for the next generation. They don't care about taxes and accounting. And so if everything in our proposal is focused around taxes and accounting, then we're offering a proposal that doesn't necessarily align with what the client cares about. Now, we're not saying that our proposals shouldn't be focused at the end of the day on providing a tax and accounting type service. Obviously, we're going to provide that service. That's what your industry is. But we need to use language to make sure that we're defining what those results are. And because your proposal process is custom each time, you're the only one who can do it. And then that's going to create a bottleneck for bringing in new revenue to the practice. And so that's a huge pitfall. Now, what do some firms experiment with when they're trying to solve this? Well, the first thing that we see firms go to is they try to automate the logistics of sending a proposal. So a proposal is just a document, right? It's just a PDF. It is literally just a document with words in it that describe what you're going to offer a client and how much it's going to cost. And so if you automate the logistics of sending a proposal, how the PDF is saved, how do I get this PDF to a client? When will I know that the client viewed the PDF? Is there a link in the PDF so that the client can pay us? That's the logistics of sending a proposal. But how a client signs a proposal or how they make their payment is fathoms less important than how you're packaging and describing your value inside that document and what specific price you and the client are agreeing to. And so automating logistics and sending proposals can be great. We help firms do that. That's part of what we do, but that's not the key. That's not the thing that's really going to move the needle and help you close more clients. The other thing that we see firms do is focus on niche or high ticket tax planning or tax resolution work. Now, this can be great work, but the number of people that need it can be limited compared to Main Street businesses and taxpayers. There's estimated over 30 million small businesses in the United States, and that number is estimated to be growing at about 1 to 2 million businesses per year, especially during the last 24 months because COVID made a bunch of people start businesses. There's almost 200 million just regular taxpayers out there. And so there are a lot of clients in this country, and it takes time to build trust with a real audience that's going to be willing to pay you top dollar for a niche or a high ticket engagement, especially when the market is already crowded. Now, we're not advocating against having a niche and doing tax resolution work or offering high ticket tax planning services, but the question you have to ask yourself is, am I leaving thousands of dollars on the table every month from easier engagements that could still be very profitable for the practice? And so that's something to think about. And then the last thing we see firms experiment with is working with lead generation gurus or freelancers to try to help them build an audience. And the question to ask yourself there is, if you're spending thousands of dollars without guaranteed results, is that the highest and best use of your resources? And are you working with someone who is trying to teach you hard sales tactics? Or are you working with someone who truly understands your role as a professional and can help you with that whole process? So when we look at trying to build an audience, really you just need to offer the right help to the right clients that genuinely need it, and then you never have to sell anything to anyone, and that's the goal. And so what approach is going to work better than these pitfalls? Well, you have to define what clients or what results our clients want. Most important, what are they willing to exchange for money? Then we're going to document this conversation so that you can create prioritized action steps to include in your proposal. Then you're going to educate clients about why your firm is the best option to help them achieve the results that they care about. And then you create packaged services that align with your clients' genuine needs so they're not going to want to say no to it. And this approach is going to allow you to easily offer your services at a price point and a margin that you deserve. You have an extreme amount of knowledge and value and experience if you've been in this industry for any length of time. You've seen potentially thousands, if not tens of thousands of client scenarios, and so you know how to help clients that need help. And so you deserve to be compensated for that knowledge and expertise. You can also make your free consultation meetings fun again and easy to execute so that it's not something that you dread during the week is, oh my gosh, I have this new client meeting and it's creating me stress. Also, you can create stickiness with clients from the very first interaction so that they're going to stay with you longer. And you can build your reputation as a trusted advisor, which then drives more word of mouth and brings in even more clients. You can create that flywheel of revenue in the practice. So there's a 3-step process for how to do this. It's 3 specific parts to create your discovery process. And we want to show you each one of those parts and dive into each one of them so that you can create a discovery process for yourself. So the first thing to do is identify results. The second thing that you're going to do is identify solutions. The third thing that you're going to do is you're going to define your roadmap for how that client is actually going to be helped. So part 1, identify results. Here we want to begin your meeting by asking 2 specific critical questions with that client conversation. So here's why this first step is so important, and here's why it works. Once you know what pain the client wants to relieve, if you deliver a proposal that matches solving that pain, you're never going to have to hard sell the client again. You simply educate them about how they can get what they want from you. The example that I always talk about is if you've ever had a medical issue, you go to the doctor usually doesn't try to hard sell you on a treatment. They say, hey, option 1 is you can get surgery. It's going to be expensive. There's going to be a long recovery time, but it's guaranteed to work. Or you can take this medication. Here are the side effects. It may or may not work. Here's what that looks like. Or you can do nothing. but they're never sitting in the office trying to hard sell you. They're simply educating you about what your options are, and then you as the patient, as an adult, can choose the right treatment plan for you. This is the same thing with our clients. If we know what pain they want to relieve in their life and we deliver a proposal that matches them being able to solve that, then we take sales out of the equation. And so here's the first key question that we want to ask the client that's going to help with that. So, what do you, potential client, want to accomplish in the next 12 months, whether we work together or not? The thing that makes this powerful is this immediately shifts power to you as the advisor. So when I ask you, what do you want to accomplish in the next 12 months, whether you work with us or not, I'm not begging you to become a client. I'm simply looking for ways that I can help. And the client's going to sense that. And they're going to be relieved that you're on the same side of the table as they are, just simply looking to identify solutions. It also gives the client the opportunity to focus the conversation on what really matters to them, and that's achieving better results in their life or in their business somehow. And it allows you to have a more meaningful conversation than I want to pay less tax. So if we leave it up to the client and we don't really engage and we don't try to have that deeper level conversation, what's the client going to revert to? Of course, they're going to say, well, what do you want to do? I want to pay less taxes. Well, of course you want to pay less tax. Every single taxpayer in America wants to pay less tax. That's a given. But we have to get a level deeper than that and start identifying, okay, if we save $10,000 a year in tax or $100,000 a year in tax, what would you do with that extra money? How would that affect your business? How would that affect your life? We have to have a deeper conversation than that. So let's look at an example of what we mean by that first key question, number one. This is Aquella Barnes. She's an EA. She's a Smart Path member in New York. And this is an actual client discovery profile that we built out together using the SmartPath template last week. And this is an existing client that she has. I want to just give you the client scenario so that you can understand a little bit about the client, and then we can apply this process to a real client example. I changed the names and the contact information on this page before I took the screenshot, so we're not sharing any sensitive data. But down here in the notes section, this is the client. So they recently relocated to Ohio. It's a husband and wife. They're both acupuncturists and into holistic medicine. They used to work in an oncology focused facility in New York. And now when they moved to Ohio, they want to switch to building their own practice, working one-on-one with clients. And then they also want to partner with other professionals in that field. And right now they're generating about $9,000 a month from their business on a Schedule C. So that's the type of client that we're going to look at as the example. So when we go back to that key question, what do you want to accomplish in the next 12 months, whether we work together or not? Here were the client's answers. We want to know what we can do that's actually going to grow revenue in the business. We want to optimize our taxes as we grow so that we can hold on to as much cash as possible. Then we want to have a plan to grow the business organically in a new city. And we want to figure out where to focus our time that's going to create the most cash and savings. So this was a great meeting that Aquila had because these are all awesome results focused things that the client wants help achieving. So that's an example of what the client said. Now here's the secret. Most firms don't have the client specifically describe what results matter to them most, like we just saw in Aquila's example. She did a great job of having the clients to specifically describe that. But the kicker is, even knowing specifically what the client wants in the next 12 months, that's not enough by itself. We also have to identify what type of engagement the client will want to pay for, and that's going a level deeper. Because when that client describes the result really isn't the thing that they want. We have to take the results that the clients say they want, and we have to define the impact of those results on their life. Because people want to pay for the impact of a result in their life, not the result itself. Think about if you wanted to lose 15 pounds or you wanted to gain some muscle, you wanted that result in your life. Well, that is a result that many people strive for, but is that really what they want? No, what they really want is they want to lose weight so they can have more confidence, or they want to lower their blood pressure or their cholesterol so that they can stick around longer and spend more time with their grandkids, or they want to catch the eye of someone that they're attracted to, so they want to make sure they look a little bit better. And so the impact of losing that 15 pounds or gaining that muscle, that's what they want, not the result itself. And so our clients are the same way. If we don't define the impact that those results are going to have on the client's life, the client's not going to be motivated to pay for the results that we outline in the proposal. So we got to take this a level deeper. So the second critical question that we're going to ask the client after they tell us what results they want is we're going to quantify it. We're going to say, okay, how will accomplishing those things make your life and your business better? What will the tangible impact be? And so going back to the client example, the clients that moved from New York to Ohio, they said, well, more revenue and paying less in taxes will allow us to begin saving for retirement for our daughter's college. Bam, there it is. You wanted to pay less tax, you wanted to have more cash flow, but why does it matter? It matters because one day you want to retire and you have a little girl that you want to be able to send to college, and paying less in tax and having better cash flow is going to allow you to do that. That's a key indicator that we can start a discussion around. We also want to start paying off student loan debt. Beautiful. Again, now we're getting deeper. Now we're seeing how those cash flow savings, those tax savings are actually going to impact your life. And then we also want to have the ability to focus on holistic healing for our patients and to spend less time on the administration of running a business. Another huge one, because now they're telling us that we're frustrated, we're stressed out trying to run this business when really all we want to do is help serve our patients. And so now as we put together that proposal, we can start talking about the things that are going to matter to them, and we can focus that proposal around the impact in their life that they want to create and they're willing to pay for. This is Mooney Christian. He's a CPA. He's another Smart Path member here in Irvine, California. This is a text message I received from him 2 weeks ago, and he says, "Hi, Will. Just want to let you know I just closed a $21,000 deal as a result of using the custom bundle for a recurring $1,750 a month." So when we do this, when we go that level deeper with the client and we don't just stop at the results, but we also talk about the impact of those results have on a client's life, this is what happens. You can generate very profitable margins in a short period of time because we're talking about what matters most to the client. This has been happening we've been helping firms do this for a long time. This is Alice Linville. She's another Smart Path member in High Point, North Carolina. This was back in 2018. This was an email that she sent. She said, "Hey, William, I want to share with you our first success. A client had been emailing random questions related to an inheritance she recently received. I seized the opportunity as the client presented it. She had a meeting. She talked about what the results the client wanted and the impact of those results, and she was able to engage the client at a starting fee of a 43% increase over the prior tax prep fee." So this stuff works if we make sure that we go through it and do it the right way. So recap, part one is have the client describe in their words the specific results they want to achieve in their life, whether they work with you or not. Remember that people want to pay for the impact of a result in their lives, not just the result itself. And then define the impact of the results in the client's life or business and put that on paper, because now that's what we're going to build the language of the proposal around. Okay, so that was the first part. Now, the second part of the discovery process is we need to identify solutions. So we need to define what can be done to actually help this person. You're not going to solve anything before the client pays and engages with you. When we talk about solutions, we're not talking about solving things for free. That's not the point. But paying you is going to be that mechanism that allows the client to solve their problem and achieve those results, because you're going to help them once they do become a client, once they do pay you. And then once you know the impact that the client wants, now all we have to do is identify, okay, what actions are going to need to happen to move the client in that direction. And those action steps are what we mean by defined solutions. So here are 3 questions to ask yourself at this stage, the second part. Are there actions that can be taken to solve the problems and create an impact in the client's life? And 9 out of 10 times that answer is going to be yes. Then we ask ourselves, okay, does the scope of the problem and the scope of the results align with the cost of solving the problem, so that each party, me and the client, can achieve a tangible return on investment? And some problems are $10 problems, but it's going to cost $1 million solution. And so there is an alignment there. And we need to do that quick math in our head to say, okay, are the problems that the client's looking to solve going to align with the cost of solving it, to make sure that we're not going on a wild goose chase here. And then the third thing we need to look at, and the question we need to ask, is working with this client a viable solution? Should we be the ones that do it? Or should we be spending our time, energy, and resources elsewhere? Or should we refer this client out? And so as you're looking at this client scenario and you're trying to identify the solutions, ask yourselves those questions. That's going to give you a quick gut check of should you move forward. So let's look at some examples of the impact that the client wants, and then the action and the solution. So if we're looking at this same example, what was the desired impact that the client wanted? Well, they wanted more revenue and they wanted to pay less tax so that they could begin saving for retirement and saving for their daughter's college. Okay, well, what's the action or solution that's going to start pushing them in that direction? Obviously, we need to create an optimized tax strategy as, one of the first steps, so that we can figure out how they can pay less tax and create that extra money that they need. Then what's the second desired impact that the client wanted? Well, they wanted to start paying off student loan debt. Okay, great. Well, we need some type of cash flow and debt consolidation plan so that we can understand how much cash is coming in every month, what are the expenses every month, how much is left over, and then how are we going to deploy that extra cash? Are there certain debts that are at higher interest rates than others? We need some type of plan once the client has paid us that will help them implement and create. But that's the next step. That's the action or solution, is we need some type of cash flow or debt consolidation plan in order to help that client achieve that impact. And then the last thing that they wanted was they want to focus on holistic healing for their patients and spend less time on business administration. Okay, what's the action or solution that would move them in that direction? Well, if we implement QuickBooks Online, we can do all types of business operations enhancements. There's probably a lot of things that the firm could take over that the client may be struggling with on a month-to-month basis themselves, and they could just offload that to the practice so that you can do that instead of them having to spend the time to do it. So for each impact, we're looking for what's that action or what's that solution that's going to push the client forward. And so here's the secret with this part. There's no need to be overwhelmed at this step, because as the old saying goes, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? There are multiple actions you can take towards any result to help minimize a problem. And there's probably 100 good actions and there's probably 100 bad actions, but there's a ton of different options. It's not your job to identify every single potential option that's in that client's life to help them achieve their goals. You simply use logic, like we did on that last slide, and prioritize, okay, what are the top 3 things that are most likely to just move the needle in the right direction? And if you can do that, that is a huge, huge value to the client even before they become a paid client. I get migraines. I've always had migraines real bad since I was a little kid. Think about if you're someone who has migraines and you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you, okay, it's just a migraine and it was triggered because you ate, the wrong food, or you didn't get enough sleep, or, you too stressed out, versus you go to the doctor and you have a migraine and they say, ooh, I think we need to take a CAT scan, or we just saw something crazy on your medical workup and we need to have a further discussion. Even before my migraine went away, just knowing that there is a plan that can take care of it because it's really not that big of a deal and the doctor knows that it's not that big of a deal, that's a huge relief and a huge value to me. And think about your clients. Your clients are not tax and accounting professionals. They don't know that most of the issues that they have in their tax and business financials is solvable. It's not that big of a deal if you take the right actions in the right order to fix it. But your clients don't know that. So when you give them a proposal and that proposal says, sure, if these are the things you want, here's how we're going to get there, before those problems are even solved, just knowing that you're available to help them, make progress on those things is a huge, huge value. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we take for granted how much knowledge and experience we have in this industry, and just applying a little bit of that knowledge to a client scenario so that they know there's a way out and they know that having better results is possible. That's a huge, huge value to them. So we want to make sure that we're just using logic and we're figuring out what those next top 3 actions are. Now, the last part, the third part, is we need to actually define the roadmap and we need to put this all on paper. So the questions we're going to ask at this stage are, what packages or what services can we actually offer to deliver those defined results that the client cares about. Obviously, what's going to be the price for a specific option or the price for each option if you want to offer the client a few choices. And we never want to give more choices than three. When you study pricing psychology, if you give someone more than three options, the likelihood of them picking one goes down because everyone suffers from analysis paralysis. And if you give me too many options, I don't know which one to pick. So you never want to give a client more than three options. And then we also need to figure out, okay, what are the next steps logistically so that the client can begin receiving the value that they're paying for? How do they get started? How are they signing up? What paperwork do they need to fill out? What's that actually going to look like? And we need to make that clear for the client. So this is the Smart Path proposal roadmap. I just wanted to give you an example of how this could look. This is our roadmap that you get access to when you become a member, but you obviously can also create your own. And it's broken up into 4 specific sections. So right up top, who's this roadmap prepared for? It's the client name. And then that first section is here are the items that you would like to address in the next 12 months. So verbatim, we're reading back to the client, here are the top 3 things that we discussed in our discovery meeting that you said were your most important priorities. And this does a couple things. Number one, it gives you the opportunity to adjust the priority items if for some reason you misheard them or misunderstood them, or if by the time you had the discovery meeting, now you're having your proposal meeting, if in that time the client's priorities change, which can happen because life is crazy and life happens to all of us, it gives us the opportunity to reaffirm what the client's priorities are. The other thing that this does is it immediately tells the client that you were listening. They took time out of their schedule to have a meeting with you. You took time out of your schedule to have a meeting with them, and it wasn't for nothing. You heard them, they felt heard, they felt understood, and now you're showing them on paper that you genuinely heard what was most important to them. And so now psychologically, they're already more interested and more open to what you're going to propose because I know that you heard me when I told you what was important to me. And so in the second section, now we're going to talk about, okay, based on what you wanted to do in section 1, here are recommended options for accomplishing your goals, option 1, 2, and 3. And there's a name to the package, there's a price for the package, and then there's features for each package. And then in the third section, we're going to outline, okay, here's how we're going to work together for the best possible results. A, we're going to work with you to define and prioritize work items based on your goals. B, we're going to execute as many work items as are feasible for the engagement period and the specific package that you choose. And then C, as work items are completed, we'll update and reprioritize your action plan to ensure our efforts are always focused on your immediate needs. So again, everything we're talking about in this proposal, all of the language is focused around helping the client achieve what they want, not what we want, helping them achieve what they want. And then number 4, what are the next steps? Well, you need to make a decision, let us know which option best fits your needs. Onboarding, you'll e-sign your enrollment package, make a payment, we'll begin designated resources for your work. And then kickoff call, we'll schedule a kickoff call to gather data and get started. And then there's a button where they can enroll and obviously your contact information. So this is an example of what we mean by putting it on paper, making it tangible for the client, how they're going to get the help they want. So how do we know which options to offer the client in the proposal? Well, here we want to keep it simple. There are basically 2 types of packages or 2 types of offerings that we see working really well right now for small firms. The first category is what we call historical reporting. The second category is what we call future results. So in the historical reporting category, this is a package type where really you're filing a tax return or you're completing basic accounting and compliance services. This pricing does not include strategic help or planning, so contact with the client throughout the year is usually pretty limited. And because you're only delivering historic reporting and filings, you really can't impact future outcomes, but in very limited ways because the time has already passed. So we know, right, if I'm preparing your 2021 tax return in 2022, 2021 is already gone. And so I can't really impact the results of that filing that much because that time has already passed. And so really in the first category of offerings, you're just focusing on historic reporting. Now let's contrast that with a second category, which is a future results type package or service that you're going to offer. This package type includes all the necessary historic compliance work that the client obviously still needs, but it also includes strategic planning and analysis. So instead of only reporting and filing things that have happened in the past, your focus in this type of engagement is on analysis and planning for better results in the future. And clients are paying a premium for not only that strategic analysis and expertise, but they're also paying you for the time to help implement the needed solution. So if I work with a client and you come up with the absolute best tax plan in the world or the best cash flow plan in the world or wherever it may be, and you do that analysis and that planning, there are still things that need to happen in the real world, actions that I need to take as the advisor or actions that the client needs to take in their life in order to implement that plan so that they can get that actual result. And so they're paying for your knowledge and your expertise to do the analysis, but they're also paying for your time to help implement that plan. And so let's make this tangible. Let's look at two examples of this. So the first option would be a historic reporting type pricing and package. And this is for, let's call it ABC Construction Company. They're grossing $250,000 in gross revenue. So they're a small general contractor. And in this option, this is just an example. Your pricing may be very different than this, but this is just an example. Let's say that you're charging $850 a year for federal and state tax preparation and filing, and you're charging $250 a quarter for QuickBooks cleanup and reporting, and then you're charging the client $150 an hour for any overages. This could be things like IRS and state notices, entity maintenance, payroll, HR consulting, or if they need ad hoc tax planning or financial strategies or questions that come up throughout the year. So for a historic reporting type package, we're at $1,850 a year minimum plus any overages. So we're at about 0.7% of the client's gross revenue. Now let's look at a future results type package. This is for the exact same construction company, ABC Construction, but here we're going to focus on ongoing tax optimization. So helping the client pay the least possible tax through year-round strategic planning. All of the federal and state tax and compliance filings are included. But then we're also going to take them through a business success process, meaning we're going to help them with cash flow management and optimization. We're going to look at the key success indicators in the business that tell us how healthy or how unhealthy the business is from a financial perspective and provide analysis and planning around that. And then we're also going to take the client through a potential threats checklist so that we can help them neutralize anything that's on the horizon that they may not be thinking about. And so in this type of engagement, we're charging the client $399 a month, or about 1.9% of their gross revenue, which would equal a 159% fee increase versus a historic reporting type package. Now, for $399 a month, if I own a small construction company, I know I can't even hire a part-time receptionist for $399 a month. But in this package that you're offering me tax preparation, tax planning, quote unquote CFO type services because you're helping me understand my business success and to make better decisions in my business. So I'm happy as a clam to pay you $400 a month because I can see how much value that engagement is going to provide to me. So that's a tangible example of how you can set up your package options to really align with what's most important to the client. Do they just want those historic filings and they just want to pay you for your labor and then get on down the road? Or are they actually looking for someone to partner with that's going to charge them a fee that aligns with the value that they want to achieve in their life or in their business? So this is a free training resource. This is our 2 options script. We're going to send this out via email to everyone after the session. So after the session, watch your email. We'll send you the recording, the slides, and all the bonus templates. This is one of the bonus templates. Let's read through this together really quick so that you can understand the type of language that you can use when you're having this conversation with a client. So right up top, the first paragraph, client name, Bob. Obviously, a lot has changed in the world recently. To ensure we give you everything you need moving forward, we now have 2 ways that we can work with clients. We have the traditional option where we speak about once a year during tax time and you're hiring us to file your tax return and or keep your books up to date. In this option, we have to bill you separately anytime things outside your tax return come up because we're really just engaged to report what has already happened. We can only affect your outcomes in limited ways because the year has already passed by the time we file your return. The second new option is where A, we work together year round to ensure you're paying the absolute least amount of tax possible, but that can only happen when you implement proactive tax strategies at specific times of the year. So that's why we got to work together year round. B, we work together year round to increase your personal and or business cash flow as much as possible. And C, we intelligently grow your personal and or business balance sheet so you're as prepared for the future as you can be. This year-round option includes help for any strategies or threats we'll want to address now, plus all the compliance work we do for you normally. We created this secondary option because we want to help clients more, and for clients that can really benefit from this level of relationship, the traditional approach just doesn't allow us the time or access we need to deliver the best possible outcomes in today's world. Changes in today's environment are happening too quickly, and a reactive approach no longer works. So after thinking about your specific situation, Bob, you'd be the perfect candidate for a year-round option. This would be one simple monthly fee that covers everything we would need to work together and ensures you're getting the best possible results now and for years to come. And we wouldn't have to charge you every time you needed help with something. If you're interested, we can discuss further what that second option would look like. I can put together a roadmap and send you that roadmap proposal, and then you would move on through the process. So this is obviously a script that you would need to put into your own language that feels natural to you, but this is an example of how you could have that conversation with the client to make it clear how you're actually going to help them achieve the results that are most important in their life. And so if you're thinking, well, that's great if I educate them about the process, but I don't have a year-round process right now. Well, this is the Smart Path year-round success process. Our members get access to a bunch of tools that help you implement this, but I want to show you the process right now so that you could even create your own if you wanted to. The first step is identifying goals. So what results does this specific client want or need help with most? And because they're paying us now, we want to look at the short-term and the long-term goals. So, what do they want in the next 1 to 12 months? And then what do they want in the longer term in the next 3 to 5 years? Then we want to look at success indicators. So what numbers or what data in their financials reveal a way forward? And what questions need to be asked or answered to help them realize those specific goals that they outline for us once they become a client? Then the third thing that we would do throughout the year is look at threats. So what's happening in the client's unique situation that's a threat that they may not be thinking about, or what resources do they currently have to help them through a crisis that could come up. And then the last thing is an action plan. What specific things need to be executed by whom and in what order to generate tangible results? And part of that action plan every year for every client is going to be their tax preparation or their accounting or the payroll or all those traditional services that you've always provided. But now when we're looking at this client on a year-round holistic basis, we're anchoring those things inside of bigger goals or inside of bigger results that the client wants to achieve. Now notice, at no point in this year-round process are we giving the client specific investment advice. At no point, at any point in this process, are we giving the client legal advice. You don't need any other licenses to be able to help clients strategically affect the results in their life or in their business. You just need a structure for how you've probably already been doing a lot of this stuff for your best clients. You just haven't had a structure or a mechanism to do it, so you haven't been getting paid for it. So this is an example of a simple 4-step year-round process that you can take clients through. So why is all of this important? Why is the 3-step discovery process so important? Well, number one, you deserve to be paid for your years of knowledge and expertise that you can apply to client scenarios. Number two, I hope you really understand this after this training. You don't ever have to hard sell anyone if you follow the right discovery process. If you identify what's most important to a client and you build a proposal around what they want, you never have to hard sell anyone. And then number three, once you systematize and document your process, you can remove yourself from being the bottleneck to new revenue in your firm. And you can get back to just helping people and enjoying your work again instead of stressing over proposals and pricing. And so this is the last training resource that we want to give everybody. This is the discovery and proposal checklist. And so if you want to move forward and just go ahead and create your own proposal and discovery system, use this checklist to do that. It's going to recap all the things that we talked about here in the training today. The next steps, you can also schedule a free call with us. I can discuss your current discovery and proposal process with you and identify exactly what to adjust for better results. During these trainings, I have to be somewhat generic because we have firms of all different types on these calls. But during our free call, we can dig down and get into the nitty gritty with you. And then we can also let you know if a SmartPath membership can be that shortcut that you're looking for, because a lot of this stuff is already pre-built. You can just use what's already there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So if you'd like to schedule that call, just go to freecall.smartpath.co. Okay, a couple of things I'm going to do for everybody. Number one, if you need to log off, you can, because we're going to send you the recording, the slides, and the bonus materials via email. Number two, I'm going to stick around and do some Q&A. So if you have any questions, please type them into the question panel, and I'll get to those in a minute. But I'm also going to jump out of the PowerPoint, go to that URL, freecall.smartpath.co, and just show you really quick how to book that call. So if you're interested, you can do that. So while I'm doing that, if you have any questions, please type them in. And I'm going to jump out of the PowerPoint here real quick. And I'm going to go over to the browser, and we're going to look at this web address. So when you go to freecall.smartpath.co, this is the site that's going to pull up. And the first thing that you do is pick your time zone, pick any time that works for you, put in your first name, last name, phone number, and email address, and then you're going to answer 5 questions about your practice. When you answer those 5 questions, that's going to make sure that when we do get on the phone, I have enough information about your practice already that we can make our time together really count. And so answer those questions, and then here at the bottom, hit complete appointment. You'll get an email confirmation that our appointment is confirmed. And then I'm going to call you at the phone number that you put in the phone number field at the date and the time that you selected. So it's that easy. You know, put in your information, hit complete, book your call, and I'll call you at that time. All right, I'm going to jump back to the PowerPoint and see if there are any questions that I can answer. Give me just 1 minute. Let me expand this so that we can see it. A couple questions about the presentation. Absolutely. Watch your email. We are going to give you the presentation via email as soon as we wrap up the live session. Are there handouts? Absolutely. There's the training bonus materials, the checklist, as well as the 2 options script that you're going to get as well. Watch your email. We'll send that out to everybody as well. Okay, great. So that's going to wrap us up today. I'll send out everything via email. Thank you for being with us. I hope you're able to see how easy a real powerful discovery process can be. I hope you create a discovery process that really works for you. And if you need help, please schedule a free call. We would love to talk to you and give you a shortcut. All right, thank you.